outside of that, I've been looking into a lot of interesting things lately, other than New Jersey. It hasn't just been New Jersey. Are you guys familiar with exomes?
No.
Exosomes or exomes?
Exomes.
Exomes. Tell me about it. What's an exome?
It's it's a new type of, not necessarily therapy, but it's something that people are taking to kind of, I don't know, what do you call it? What is it called? Biohacking? Is that what they call these things nowadays? Is that what it's called?
Biohacking is a term. I'm not sure if they use exomes for biohacking.
Okay, well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Anyway, it's regenerative medicine that you inject, and it helps repair cells and rejuvenate. It's kind of like we've talked about stuff. Yes, I was just gonna say.
I'm gonna get a shot of BP 157 today.
Are you really?
I am. I fucked up my leg so bad at soccer like 10 days ago.
Tell our audience with BCP 157, body protective compound.
You want me to tell them about it?
Yeah.
It's the 157th body protective compound that was created, and you inject it, and it's supposed to help heal.
Anymore?
Why?
Why does it do that?
Yeah.
I think it's amino acids, maybe. I don't know. I don't fucking know, to be honest.
Yes.
I've read testimonials and people swear by it. And I've always kind of thought, well, I have some ankle pain, stuff like that after playing soccer. Maybe this can help sort of bridge that gap, maybe get my ankles a little bit stronger so they don't always just fucking die the next day. But when I got kicked in the leg super fucking hard at soccer last Wednesday, I can't sleep. Like all of a sudden, it's so much pain. I'm like, all right, I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to try it out. See what happens.
BPC. I think it's a great idea. I've really wanted to try it for my shoulder because...
Oh, God, your shoulder. What's wrong with your shoulder? What do you do? Play tennis? Are you a tennis player?
That would be my elbow.
Probably a softball player.
Tennis elbow. I've been wanting to do it for my shoulder because they do say, like you said, when you inject it, you can take it. There's an oral version as well, but apparently injection works better and gets directly to.
Oral's not good for this. Oral's good for like healing your gut.
Yeah,
right?
Well, it's gut health. If you need to fix your gut,
no one gives a fuck about your gut. Fix your shoulder, bro.
Most people who have stomach issues have a gut health problem, and they just don't know.
It's about looking good, not feeling good, man.
I agree.
Hell yeah, brother.
I want to get it for my shoulder because I do have a really bad shoulder pain, and you feel it particularly when like I'm lifting or something. So, but I heard that it's great. Everybody who's used BCP 157 have had great reviews for it. So let us know. I want to know, how are you getting one injection or a series of them?
I'm getting one injection today, and I'm ordering a bottle myself, and so I'm going to start injecting myself.
Wow, which I'm always kind of Brad walking around Austin with needles. That's why.
I can find there's a lot of free needles at the park. Just at the very bottom of the slide, there's always a fresh supply. It's super cool.
Good.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable injecting myself, but I'm going to do it anyway. I used to do it with B12 shots, and it just doesn't. I feel like I'm doing it wrong. Like I'm going to get a fucking like an air bubble in there, and I'm going to die. You know what I mean?
Just do what the doctors do. Do that.
That seems too easy.
Okay, look how many injections happen on a daily basis, and how few people die.
I mean, a lot of people die, buddy.
From it.
I don't know if you want to say, hey, look at all those like homeless people that are injecting themselves and how healthy they are.
That's obviously very different.
They're doing great.
That's
obviously not because of the injection.
Yeah.
Well,
having an air bubble.
Anyways, I'm glad you talked about that. So exomes are kind of in that family. It's they come from stem cells, and it's rejuvenative, and so you have been using them with microneedling for different things to kind of inject for, everything from skin to hair to joints, ligaments, all these different things to either regenerate or for cosmetics or other purposes. Really interesting. I saw it as one of the trends for 2025. I know last year Michael was really into cold plunging. I just feel like we haven't heard much about his cold plunging anymore. Do you still do that?
I started cold plunging.
Well, you're not Michael.
No, in the summer, the cold plunge got a little too hot, and I couldn't keep it cold, so I was just doing cold showers. But I have a plan. No, I have a plan to start cold plunging again. And for Christmas, I have asked for the heater, or not the heater, but the motor that keeps it cold. So the freezer.
Okay. So are you into any healthcare kicks right now other than not cold plunging?
No, really? Not really. No, the two that I was doing, and this isn't like revolutionary. But the two that I was doing that I was most excited about in the last 6 months were cold plunging and stretching, mobility stretching in the mornings. Because I don't know if you guys have seen me, but I can't touch my toes, and not even close.
So far away.
Yeah, they
Well,
are.
that is true. That is
Like
you got a long way to go.
Yeah, not even close. And for longevity, I think that's probably an important thing, to be a little bit more flexible. So I started doing this mobility stretching in the morning. It's like 10 minutes ish. And I was doing it every morning, like very disciplined about it. And then I went to dinner with my friend the other day, and I was like, look. And I showed him, I'm like this far away. Whereas before I was like,
yeah,
really far. But I haven't been very disciplined about any of that stuff, but I have a 5-month-old and have been very busy. So my whole morning routine has been rough the last month or so.
Well, Michael, you're going to have to show him the way. Otherwise, he's going to be eating seed oils in McDonald's and not stretching. So he needs to learn.
Well, I did all those things when I was young and dumb. So.
Well, to the stretching point, though, I think we talked about this last year at some point. Stretching, I feel like so many people need to do it, and it would fix so many problems that they have, and they just don't do it. Like, if you find a 10, 15-minute stretching routine on YouTube and you do it, it's remarkable the amount of pain that I don't feel in certain like lifts and things when I stretch regularly. Just how like you don't accidentally pull something when you're reaching out. Like it's amazing what stretching does. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that's why some other cultures they live a long time.
That's also because they don't eat the seed oils that Andrew Huberman.
I don't really think there's any evidence about seed oils. So
stop it, Andrew.
But on the next topic, we're going to talk about
the fuck.
What?
What's yours, Brad?
I thought it was BCP 157. But
no,
you got more.
You were talking about that, and I just said, "Hey, I'm about to take that."
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So you go, like do your little drone wars. All right, you Star Wars freak, and I'll do BPC 157. We'll come back next week and we'll report.
Okay, well, tell us about your kick, whatever your thing is.
Stretching by itself, you guys got to stretch right. You got to activate the opposing muscles while you're stretching. You got to move through a range of motion, and the muscle that you're stretching, you need to activate to get out of the stretch. Right? You don't just haphazardly throw your hands at the ground. You got to really.
Did either of us say that's what you do?
No, I'm giving the listeners advice because you two goons don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Well, Michael's the one who can almost touch his toes, so
almost.
I have never not been able to touch my toes, and I can put my wrists underneath my feet. So go fuck yourself,
well,
buddy.
When you're 5'2", that's not very hard.
You are the shortest person I have ever met, and I haven't even met you. So I actually started doing saunas and cold plunging, and the cold plunge is just the outdoor pool at my gym, and it's cold as fuck. I don't know what the temperature is, but it's probably in the 50s. It's pretty cold. I don't know what's the good temperature for a cold plunge, Michael?
32.
I mean, you can't
colder than 50.
It's cold. It's really cold.
Like,
but I start with a 200-degree sauna for half an hour, and then I go hop in the pool, and it's a shock. I'm a little afraid. I'm afraid when I jump in, I'm gonna like pass out.
Yeah.
But my favorite trend is the one that Charles keeps sending me pictures of is muscle mommies. He keeps sending me all these pictures on Instagram of all these muscle mommies that he finds.
This is not what happens.
Oh my God. Yes, it is.
This is just Brad scrolling.
And he sends me these pictures and he asks me if I would. And I'm like, I don't know what that means. What does that mean, Charles?
This is not, I wish you guys would see our Instagram messages because that's not what's happening. That is not what's happening. But
I do like that women are. It's becoming more socially acceptable for women to lift weights, and women are taking it more seriously. I think that it's great that it used to be when we were younger that women were afraid that they're going to look like men if they started lifting weights, and I always say like that's impossible. It's not going to happen unless you started taking you're not going to take it so seriously that that's going to happen. So don't even worry about it. Like you'd have to like really train fucking hard and or take Tren, which is Charles's favorite exome, right? That's not. It's just not going to happen. So I'm actually really pleased to see a lot of women taking up the sport of weightlifting. It's great.
Well, I think go ahead, Michael.
Oh, I was just going to say it's better for their goals too, right? If their goal is like fat loss or something like that, lifting weights is kind of critical. It's not just cardio. That's my understanding.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think, you know, the long running narrative has been like with people, I mean, with women and with some people who just don't want to get muscular. It's like, oh, I don't want to lift because I don't want to get muscular. And I think you're right, Brad. It's very difficult. Like it's hard. Like it just doesn't happen. Oh, see, I agree, Lisa.
Lisa. That is not. I've met so many women, Lisa.
They don't know Suzanne Summers, obviously.
I've met so many women, Lisa, that have said, I don't want to lift weights. I don't want to look like a man. I don't want to have arms like you. I'm like, that's not going to happen. Don't worry about it. Just go lift weights. You're going to feel good. I promise.
I don't think that's what
Lisa, that all women
have arms like you. I think they've.
In other news,
when are we in Austin? We're going to have a boxing match.
Why do you feel this is a new trend?
I don't think it's a new. I think the trend is that it's becoming more socially acceptable for women to do that. That's what I mean by that. I'm not saying that women have never lifted weights. Obviously, I mean, I've seen women in the gym for as long as I've been going to the gym, but now it's becoming more socially accepted. And maybe that's in part because of social media and women posting their gains with a Z. And so other women see that and they go, oh yeah, she actually, you know, that looks pretty good. And maybe I could be like that or do that or whatever. I'm speaking in generalizations. I'm not saying that it's, you know, women never lifted weights.
Well, and to your point, I think fitness culture is more in now than it ever has been, as opposed to like diet culture, I think, which is, and not just for women, generally speaking, I think, you know, there's always been this diet culture, but now people are actually into like, yes, I want to diet and eat appropriately, but like still be full, but also lift weights and all this other stuff. Whereas like fitness culture seems to used to just be geared towards like meatheads or just people going to the gym all the time and stuff like that. Whereas now you go on anybody's social media page and it's like, look at this, I'm doing my, you know, single lift or whatever. My PR.
It's the antecedent to Maha. But in other news, speaking of fitness, Brad has started a Instagram account under a, what do you call that? Another name?
Pseudonym.